there's there's some interesting things going on in the villages. We are going to cover some of the things that I was really surprised about when you look at the villages statistics right now, and you're looking at the what's happening in the villages marketplace. We're going to look at that. I'm also going to share some real buyer and seller strategies that you can take later on in the video. So you want to keep watching for sure. Please like and subscribe if you want a market update. Obviously, I've been Stein Realty Executives, the broker here for 20 plus years. We've been in the villages since late 2004. So we know the marketplace. We've been number one in the villages marketplace on villages MLS. There's a VLS and an MLS separate from the developer, but we've been number one in this marketplace for a long time. So I say that just to show you, okay, I kind of understand the marketplace, and I've been doing these videos for about 6 years, I believe. So let's take a look at it. One of the things, there's several things I was surprised by. Now, number one is this. So if you're looking at these, this is closed days on the market, closed days on the market. And I've had some people say, well, it's taking longer and longer for homes to sell. And what's interesting is that there's a difference between the haves and the have-nots. Where, if you look at closed days on the market, January 37, and then you're looking at, the high looks like, July, right? 65. You look at a chart, this will tell, right? Like this is a true indicator. Like this is where we're coming from. It used to take longer back in 2016, 2017. And then, we're seeing this more plateauing, and then like a drop 2021 after COVID, interest rates go through the floor, and then interest rates go through the roof, it goes up, and then steadily climbing, longer days on market. But it's also very seasonal as well, right? The lower days on market tend to be in the April, May time periods, and we're shifting, we're trending in that direction again. So if you look at this peak here is August of last year. It's really, really a tough market. And of course, like I've said before, after Labor Day, it was easier to sell a home. So it's dropping and dropping and dropping. And that's, probably the biggest surprise is that even though the inventory has gone up, the days on market has been going down. So that's very interesting. If you look at sales, the number of sales so far, we'll do another video next week when we look at what happened in February. You saw this last week. Mostly, let's go to the chart again. Let's go to the chart. There's something else I want to show you. Like, okay, number of sales dropped through the floor in 22 and 23, and then it was kind of steady. These drops that you see are typically in January and February, right? You can see, and this is actually in October at this point, but some of the off-market times, and then you see a big rise right after January and February typically is what you're seeing in the villages, right? This is actually the best time to sell probably all year, is probably the next 2 to 3 months. Now, it doesn't mean it's a seller's market. It just means it's probably one of the better times to sell. Typically is this part of the season, like usually February, late February, all the way through April is about that time where you want to be on the market, and you might maximize what's going on, for that particular year, right? The trends say that. So one thing that we pulled up, this is a big surprise for me. It was something that we saw with the pending properties, right? So one of the questions that I was talking to my agents about was, okay, what happens when you're on the market too long? And this could be, is something that we need to look at for a seller strategy. If you're on the market too long, you're risking losing money. And you may think, why? And part of that reason is that the longer you're on the market, the less interesting your home becomes. Because if you've got 60, 90, 120, 180 days on the market, people think, well, what's wrong with this home? What's wrong with this particular property? Why have other people picked over it over the last 6 months? Why is it on the market? There must be something wrong. That's a kind of a common thing that happens with people, with the buyers, right? So you don't want to be on the market too long because it does affect your value. You can be, a $500,000 home, right? This is what it's worth. And you're on the market for 5 days, and then you take another home that's the same home, similar or pretty close to identical. Take that same home, 500,000, and it's been on the market 6 months. It's not going to sell for the same price. The home that's been on the market for 6 months is going to sell for less than the home that has been on the market for 2 days. Assuming it's at the right price, it'll probably sell within 30 days. That's what we're seeing. And then that home that's been on the market, we just dropped it. It just kind of spawned and just landed in the marketplace, and it's been on the market for 6 months. Will probably sell for, I'd say, at least 5 to 10% less, because buyers will think there's something wrong. Right now, you're looking at pending properties, right? So the pending properties right now, there's 229 pending properties in the villages right now, right? And the villages MLS, and the MLS for the villages. So we're looking at 229. Now, one thing I want to show you, here's what's interesting. Let's look at days on market, okay? And let's look at more than 30 days on the market. Homes that have been on the market more than 30 days that are pending, 132. So remember this number. Remember, 229, more than 30 days. Okay, very common. So we're seeing more than half, right? More than half. Actually, let's look at 99 homes are pending, not on the market, pending, meaning under contract. Someone liked it enough and said, okay, we like this, we want to put an offer in, and it was accepted, meeting in the minds between buyer and seller. They're moving towards closing. They're not active anymore. Someone wants to buy it, and they've got an agreement on price and terms. 99. So remember, let's go back. 99, almost half. So that's probably about 40 something percent, probably 40, about 40% of the homes are less than 30 days on the market that are pending. That's an indicator. Now let's look at 60 days, because you start getting into a different threshold. 95, so the same amount of homes, pretty much the same amount of homes that are pending have been on the market 60 plus days, and similar to that, less than 30. So it's kind of an even thing. But let's look at 90 plus. 66. You're on the market, you're lessening your chances of selling the more days you're on the market. We're seeing that in real time here, pendings. 90 plus days is only 66. 120. 4 months. Doesn't seem like a lot. 41 homes. Your chances are dwindling. 150. It's 5 months. You may think, oh, we can leave room for negotiating. This is the case for not doing it. 23 homes, more than 5 months. It's not much, right? That's 10% of the homes. So let's look at a map. This is all very, very surprising to me. This is all very, very surprising to me when I was looking at this. I thought it was definitely a surprise to me to see this. But let's look at a map. Let's look at where those homes are. Homes that have been on the market, they're all over the place, right? No rhyme. I'm looking for patterns, right? 150 days. Could be anywhere, right? Could be anywhere. That's what we're seeing. Let's go back. Let's look at pendings. Go back here. Sorry. If you're wondering if we ever do this live, we do this live. Let's look at 90 plus days. Right. Let's look at 90 plus days. Where are they typically located? Let's get a map. Pretty much the same, but I'll tell you, here's a little bit. I wouldn't say I was surprised by this, but a little surprised. There is a pattern. That's what I was surprised by. There is a pattern here. So here's the pattern. Mostly north of 466. Right? If we zoom out, let's see if it'll group. No, it's not grouping like that way. Okay, it's not grouping. I was hoping it would. But yeah, north of 466. probably most of those homes, they're staying on the market a little bit longer. South of 466 is only a handful between the sixes and hardly anything south of 466A. Okay, that's an indicator. Now, let's look at the homes that are selling, taking less time. Let's look at the 60 days or less. Quite a bit, more than half. And now you're looking at, it's pretty much spread out, but most of them are north of 466A. They're also north of 466. They're everywhere, even the historic section, even south of 466A and south of the Turnpike, right? What does that say? That says a couple of things. It says a couple of things. Price your home right. Nothing, that's not the surprise. But what is the surprise is the amount of homes that are selling that are under 60 days, they're moving. Even though the inventory has gone up, by the way, over the last 60 days. And I do think it is a buyer's marketplace. It is a buyer's marketplace right now because the 6 months of inventory, the amount of inventory that's on the market, there is demand. It's not like nothing's selling. It just feels that way when you've got this many homes on the market. So as a buyer, I think you are looking for, I think there's a real opportunity, just like I've said this before, homes that are on the market for more than 90 days, there's a real opportunity, right? If you want to get a little bit better deal, look at those homes that have been on the market for a while. There might be a little bit of desperation there. There could be. Not always, sometimes. And then as a seller, price it right, get your home sold before 90 days. If that's what I would do. I want to sell before 90 days. If I'm a buyer, I'm looking for 90 days plus, or if you're looking for a deal, or that doesn't matter. You're not necessarily, a deal is nice, but you're looking for absolutely the right property. So maybe you can merge them both. So if you have questions, that's my number, 352-572-3796. I'm Glenn Stein, broker, owner of Realty Executives, and happy February. And, look, if you have questions, connect. This is something that you really need to pay attention to.